The Elemental Sentinel Zero beta storyline present day. The city of West Haven was
Yeah.
alive. Cars moved through crowded streets. Lights flickered across towering buildings. And at the center of it all stood one structure unlike any other, Sentinel Tower.
This chair can
A
be moved.
massive marble structure built of reinforced steel and glass, rising above the skyline like a symbol of something new. Not just protection, unity. Inside, a group of heroes stood together, not as legends of the past, not as lone vigilantes in the shadows, but as a team. The Elemental Sentinels. They weren't responding to the threat. Not yet. They were just there, talking, training, existing. One leaned against a railing, watching the city below. Another adjusted their gear. A third casually created a small flicker of energy in their hand, more out of habit than necessity. For once, things were calm. Feels weird, doesn't it? One of them said. The Sentinel Tower stood tall over West Haven, a symbol not just of power, but of balance. Hidden within its upper levels, the Elemental Sentinels gathered, not in battle, but in a rare moment of calm. Voltstrike leaned over a holographic table, monitoring energy readings across the city, his fingers occasionally flicking through data streams. Power grid stable for now, he muttered. Across the room, Pterodon stood near a reinforced observation wall, looking out over the city. His massive form was still, but his connection to the earth below was always active. The ground feels uneasy, he said slowly. Not danger, just tension. Night.
Skin reactions can occur. Get help right away for face, mouth, tongue.
The Elemental Sentinels number 0, part of the beta storyline. The Sentinel Tower stood quietly beneath West Haven, hidden from the world above, humming with energy drawn from the planet itself. Inside, the Elemental Sentinels were at ease, for once. Voltstrike leaned over the central console, monitoring energy levels across the city, occasionally glancing at the others. Pterodon stood like a statue near the far wall, his massive form radiating quiet strength as he remained connected to the earth beneath them. Night Smoke moved silently through the shadows, barely visible even in their own headquarters. Tyrion Flux, the youngest, shifted elements between his hands, small sparks of fire turning into droplets of water, then into flickers of lightning, practicing control. Too quiet, Tyrion muttered. Voltstrike smirked slightly. Enjoy it while it lasts. Before anyone could say more, alarms blared through the tower. West Haven Bank robbery in progress, the system announced. Voltstrike straightened instantly. That didn't take long. Move out. In seconds, the team was in motion. Outside, chaos had already begun. Armed criminals poured out of the West Haven Bank, carrying bags of cash, shouting orders at terrified civilians. Police sirens echoed in the distance, but they wouldn't arrive in time. A crack of lightning split the air as Voltstrike landed in front of the robbers. It's over, he said calmly. The criminals barely had time to react. Pterodon crashed down behind them, the ground trembling under his weight, cutting off their escape. Night Smoke emerged from a swirl of dark mist, silently disarming 2 robbers before they could even raise their weapons. Tyrion stepped forward, raising his hand as water from a nearby fountain surged up, wrapping around another criminal and pinning him in place before freezing solid. One of the robbers fired wildly. Voltstrike absorbed the energy mid-air, his body glowing as he redirected it into the ground in a controlled burst that knocked the gun from the attacker's hand. Within moments, it was over. The criminals were down, restrained, and surrounded. Police finally arrived to find the situation already handled. Tyrion exhaled, lowering his hands. That was fast. Night Smoke nodded slightly, as it should be. Voltstrike looked over the team, a small sense of pride in his expression. West Haven's protected, he said. That's what we do. Pterodon rumbled quietly in agreement. As the police took over, the Elemental Sentinels vanished as quickly as they arrived, returning to the shadows, waiting for the next threat. Because this was only the beginning. The Elemental Sentinels number 1, part of the beta storyline. Night had fallen over West Haven, but the city wasn't quiet. Deep within an industrial district, a group of armed operatives moved with precision. Their armor bore a familiar symbol, the mark of the Red Dragon Mercenaries. They had already taken control of a warehouse, setting up equipment and unloading advanced weaponry. Inside the Sentinel Tower, alarms flickered to life once again. Voltstrike studied the incoming data. Red Dragon activity? Heavily armed. Tyrion leaned forward. Those guys again? Night Smoke's voice came from the shadows. They don't show up unless something big is happening. Pterodon stepped forward, the ground subtly shifting beneath him. Voltstrike turned. We shut it down. Now. Moments later, lightning tore across the sky as the elemental sentinels arrived at the warehouse. The mercenaries opened fire immediately. Bullets never reached their targets. Pterodon raised his arm, and the ground surged upward, forming a wall of stone that absorbed the gunfire. Voltstrike burst forward in a flash, electricity crackling around him as he disarmed 2 mercenaries in seconds, dropping them with precise strikes. Night Smoke slipped through the battlefield like a ghost, appearing behind enemies and taking them down before they even realized she was there. Tyrion raised both hands, summoning a blast of wind that sent multiple mercenaries crashing into crates. He followed it with a quick burst of ice, locking their weapons in place. One of the mercenaries activated a heavy weapon, charging it. Voltstrike noticed instantly. Tyrion, now! Tyrion reacted without hesitation, launching a stream of water that slammed into the weapon, short-circuiting it before it could fire. Pterodon then stepped forward and slammed his fist into the ground. The entire warehouse shook. The remaining mercenaries lost their footing as the floor cracked beneath them, their formation completely broken. Within minutes, the fight was over. The Red Dragon mercenaries were down, restrained, and unable to continue their operation. Night Smoke scanned the area. Clean. Voltstrike looked at the confiscated tech. They were setting something up. Tyrion frowned. Think they'll come back? Voltstrike's eyes hardened slightly. They always do. Sirens approached in the distance as the Sentinels stepped back into the shadows. Another threat stopped, but something bigger was coming. A long Halloween night, The Wizard and the Witch, part of the beta storyline. The year was 1600, long before heroes, before cities filled with light and steel, before the world understood power. There was fear. The village sat at the edge of a dark forest, its people bound by superstition and whispers. Every shadow held meaning. Every strange occurrence had a cause. And when they could not understand something, they named it evil. That year, the crops had failed. Livestock had died without reason. Children spoke of voices in the woods, and so the villagers searched for someone to blame. They found them. Deep within the forest lived 2 figures spoken of only in hushed voices, a wizard and a witch. The wizard was an older man, quiet and reserved, known to study ancient texts and speak to forces no one else could see. The witch was younger, sharp-eyed and calm, her presence tied to nature itself. She healed wounded animals, restored dying plants, and spoke to the wind as if it answered her. They were not rulers. They were not conquerors. They were simply different. But in a time ruled by fear, that was enough. Rumors spread like wildfire. They cursed the land. They poisoned the crops. They called demons from the forest. The townsmen gathered one cold night, torches lit, weapons in hand. Fear had turned into anger, and anger into action. They marched into the forest. The wizard felt them coming before they arrived. They've chosen fear, he said quietly. The witch stood beside him, her expression calm but heavy. They always do. The sounds of shouting grew louder. Branches snapped. Flames flickered through the trees. They will not listen, she said. The wizard nodded slowly. No. The villagers broke into the clearing, surrounding them. Witch, one man shouted. Sorcerer. You've cursed this land, another yelled. The witch stepped forward, her voice steady. We have done nothing but help. Lies, a man roared, throwing a torch to the ground at their feet. The wizard raised a hand slightly, a faint glow forming, but he stopped. He looked at the crowd. Not warriors, not monsters, just people, afraid. If we fight, he said quietly to the witch, we become what they believe. The witch clenched her hands, her power stirring, but slowly she let it fade. They won't stop, she whispered. I know. The townsmen surged forward. They bound them with ropes, dragging them back toward the village. No resistance, no spells, no fight, only silence. By the time they reached the center of the village, The pyres had already been built. 2 stakes, 2 fates already decided. The villagers gathered around, their fear now masked as righteousness. The wizard was tied first, then the witch. The flames were prepared. The crowd waited. The witch turned her head slightly toward him. "Do you regret it?" The wizard looked out at the crowd, then back at her. "No," he said softly. "Power was never the danger. The torch was raised. Fear was." The flames were lit. Fire climbed the wood, crackling, growing, devouring. The villagers watched as the fire rose higher, believing they were saving themselves, believing they had defeated something evil. But as the flames consumed the wizard and the witch, something changed. The wind shifted. The fire flickered unnaturally. For just a moment, only a moment, the flames burned a strange color, something not of this world. And in that moment, a whisper passed through the air. Not a scream, not a curse, a warning. Then it was gone. The fire died down. The night returned to silence. The villagers believed it was over. But deep beneath the ashes, something remained. Because power does not die, and neither does what fear creates.
He's too strong. I do. I told you.
A real rocker. This paper is a lasting
Depression or suicidal thoughts before scheduled procedures with anesthesia.
Nightwolf, A Long Halloween Night, part of the beta storyline. Jackson City was alive with noise. Not the usual kind, sirens, gunfire, chaos. Tonight was different. Laughter echoed through the streets. Costumes filled every corner. Neon lights reflected off masks and painted faces. It was Halloween. But for Nightwolf, nights like this were the most dangerous. Because monsters didn't need to hide. They blended in. High above the city, perched on a Gothic tower, Nightwolf watched the streets below. "Crowds are thicker than usual tonight," came the calm voice of Bruce Parker through his earpiece. Perfect cover for criminal activity. Nightwolf didn't respond immediately. His eyes scanned movement patterns, exits, shadows. "I'm not looking for criminals tonight," he said finally. A pause. "Then what are you looking for, sir?" Nightwolf's voice lowered. Something worse. Across the city, deep in an abandoned cathedral, long forgotten by the public, candles flickered in unnatural patterns. Figures in dark robes stood in a circle, their faces hidden behind masks. A cult, not the kind chasing money or power, the kind chasing something ancient. "Energy readings just spiked," Bruce said. "Old district, cathedral ruins." Nightwolf leapt from the tower. His glider deployed mid-fall, cutting through the cold night air as he soared toward the signal. "Thermal scans show at least 20 individuals," Bruce continued. "No firearms detected, but I'm picking up unusual electromagnetic interference." "Not weapons," Nightwolf muttered. "Ritual." He landed silently on the cathedral roof. Below him, chanting echoed, low, rhythmic, wrong. Nightwolf moved through a broken window, disappearing into the shadows as if he were part of them. Inside, the cultists circled a symbol carved into the stone floor, something old, something not meant to be understood. At the center stood a figure taller than the rest, wearing a bone-like mask. The leader. "Energy levels rising," Bruce warned. "Whatever they're doing, it's close to activation." Nightwolf didn't wait. He dropped. The first cultist went down before they even realized he was there. A silent strike. Precise, efficient. The second turned. Too late. Panic spread through the group. "It's him," one shouted. Nightwolf moved through them like a ghost. Strikes, disarms, takedowns, no wasted motion. The leader didn't move, didn't flinch. "You cannot stop what has already begun," the leader said, voice distorted beneath the mask. Nightwolf stopped just for a moment. "Yeah," he said. "I've heard that before." The leader raised their hands. The symbol on the ground ignited with a dark glow. The air changed, cold, heavy, alive. "Bruce," Nightwolf said, his tone sharper now. "I see it," Bruce replied. "That's not normal energy. That's..." The ground cracked. A surge of dark force burst upward from the symbol, knocking several cultists off their feet, including Nightwolf, who slid back but quickly regained balance. The leader laughed. "It comes." Nightwolf reached into his belt, pulling a small device. Then we end it now. He threw it directly into the center of the symbol. A pulse detonated, not explosive but disruptive. The glowing energy shattered like glass. The darkness collapsed inward. Silence. The room went still. The leader staggered. No, no, you don't understand. Nightwolf was already moving. One final strike. The leader hit the ground, unconscious. The remaining cultists surrendered almost immediately. Sirens approached in the distance. JCPD is on the way, Bruce said. I've already tipped them off. Nightwolf stood in the center of the broken ritual, looking down at the shattered symbol. Whatever they were trying to bring here, Bruce added, you stopped it. Nightwolf didn't answer right away. He looked around, at the symbols, at the masks, at the fear still lingering in the air. No, he said quietly, I delayed it. Outside, the police flooded the area, arresting the remaining cultists. But by the time they arrived, Nightwolf was gone, back in the shadows, watching. Because Halloween night wasn't over, and in Jackson City, the real monsters never were.
Most about those years.
Andromeda.
I hope she doesn't show up when I'm sleeping.
Cassiopeia.
If she does tomorrow, show
Old
up,
days.
you know.
Canis Major. Lupus. Telescopia. In the sky. My dad was. My father was on the first studied the stars.
An astronomer.
Yes. And he used to wake me up in
And
the
no,
middle
Grant,
of
the
the
reason I came is because it was going to the comic book
he'd
store,
drive out
okay?
in his truck to
But it's, yeah. And Paul's like, I bet you could do this, Grant.
and I
I'm
wanted
like,
to
no,
look
she
up
only
at the
four
lights
weeks.
in the sky.
I just didn't know she only had 1 day off this week.
He talked to me,
The stars.
which was
Bobby, spending almost
I
like the
think
same
they
amount
did.
of days
And I
anyways
told
with
my
you guys
dad,
as I
and he
did
said
with
at first he
mom
said
and dad
they
over,
talked to
you
me too,
know, the weekend.
but he meant it like a
Because I spent 5 days with them, you know,
Metaphor.
Friday.
And what did the
which
stars
was
say?
started first, right? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And I'm gonna be spending Wednesday, Thursday, you know, today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and part of Sunday, you know.
yes.
Yeah, and I have to. I don't think it's fair.
This is a safe
Well, I
place to
don't
live.
think
Nothing
it's
can hurt
fair
you
if
here.
you don't have to go. Because he has an eye doctor's appointment. I told mom that she should have just gone in there for me last time around.
Wait, we should
Because I need a appointment
else,
to see if I need a stronger pair of.
I still don't understand your fucking English teacher.
what are you said that articles about a new drug or something?
Grade pendings that she's doing. And your grade be a D.
Just across the
Apparently
table.
she ain't coming back until March. May or something like until like the 31st of either March or May.
Where's she at?
Home.
Nothing
Yeah,
to worry
she was
about.
real good. Pizza. No, I want
So.
time.
Why don't you tell me what the stars say?
Zero. So I can just warm it up real quick in there.
Right?
What?
So how's your microwave, Barry?
I didn't say anything.
I don't
Oh,
like it for one reason.
sounded like a
It
woman.
has the fucking, you know,
Did you say something?
What push? Oh, the button?
She said she didn't say anything.
Open the door?
Who?
Yeah.
Harry.
Whatever, not that bad.
I thought your name was.
Hey, at least it stops the timer, you know.
Are,
And you push it.
are we done?
You don't like kissing. I forget that you have a child safety lock on yours.
Right,
Because ours don't, you know.
right. You guys gonna get a new one yet, did you?
No.
Maybe.
Because mom don't want to get a new one yet until her kitchen gets clean. Because she don't want the new one to get dirty.
Never had a David Haller at this facility. That's just crazy.
If I didn't come over this week, over spring break, I would have got in. If I didn't come over this week, I would have got that whole side I was working on done. Yeah. Because I almost had the left side, the right side done. I didn't really do that much on the left side. Since I, trying to get the right side finished. Because I had to get done some dishes for the software. I wasn't, going to be there.
Dennis Kissinger.
She wanted me, she wanted me. I mean,
making progress.
Tuesday I did.
Where the fuck that stove?
Let me guess. You don't have any record of him either. Perhaps you have us confused
I
with
should have
others.
to on my stuff I wanted.
No. I'm too tired to work that machinery right now, Randy.
I'm beginning to wonder if we should.
The only reason I'm still up is because I was hungry. I almost passed out on the couch I did, just a little bit.